Great leaders are always learning. Tune in each week as we dig deep into the minds of America's top leaders and uncover their secrets for success and the pivotal moments that got them there. If you are looking for executive coaching that will drive you and your team to the winning goal line, this is the podcast for you.
Hey guys, I'm Justin Simmons and here to welcome you to our brand new show, The Leader's Playbook. This show is all about leadership, all about giving you the tips and tricks that you need to excel both in business and in life. So as we go through these shows, we're going to bring on, experts in their respective field. We're going to bring on people that can give us tips and pointers on ways to succeed, ways to lead. And again, so excited to have you on, Brad. Brad's a great friend of mine, neighbor. Watched you kind of ascend through your sales career, man, and it's been a really impressive and meteoric rise, from my opinion, watching you from
Thank you.
From the next door neighbor window.
Very kind and creepy.
Yeah, it is a little bit. Yeah. I'm happy to see you're wearing cowboy boots.
Thank you. I live in Texas.
That sets it off, and we're matching here. So, so tell us a little bit about just high level, kind of your sales career, how you got started. Let's go there.
Well, first and foremost, I'm a huge fan of Joe Rogan, so I have to have some appreciation for you having me on.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm halfway there. You're both bald.
Yes.
Which makes me feel like I'm on my way.
I'm Joe Rogan's booger. So it's called the Great Migration, man.
I love it.
Yes. So.
I think the way that I got started in my career is, first going to college and then learning that I was not going to be a doctor. I had huge ambitions to be a doctor.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And then I took a little course called organic chemistry, coupled with a few other science classes, and came home with a 1.9 GPA.
I could attest. So being around you, I'm surprised you even went down
Got
that
the
pathway.
1.9.
Yeah, I mean that's impressive.
My parents were impressed with the fact that I had a 1.9 GPA.
Really?
And thought that I just had to have a pulse to go to college, and apparently I almost failed out. So.
But the dynamic personality, I suppose, is what led you towards the sales career?
That's what kept me on probation, not suspension. So
okay, gotcha.
So I realized I wasn't going to be a doctor, and tried to figure out what was going to be the next best thing, right? Like, what's a way that I can still, at that time, single Brad, how can I impress the ladies?
Yeah.
Without being that smart? And the obvious answer was, I'm going to wear scrubs every day. I'm going to find a way to wear scrubs every day and at least look the part.
Do you wear the scrubs on the airplane?
I don't.
This could be problematic.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. There are a subset of people that wear scrubs on airplanes.
It's a bad idea. I mean, if someone goes down in the plane, they're going to you. You don't want that pressure.
No.
You don't want that burden on you. So,
yeah,
but that makes
totally
sense. So, go scrubs.
Yep. So go scrubs.
Okay.
And people all the time stop and they're like, "Thank you, doctor, for everything you do." I'm like,
"You're welcome."
You're welcome. Or I say, "I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV," and they think that's
It's
it's
pretty
kind
cliche.
of cheesy.
It is
cheesy, cliche, but I say
disappointed in that.
So I started off in business-to-business sales, which anybody that's wanting to get into the medical device space, usually there's kind of a blueprint, right? You kind of have to start off with really kind of the grind that you have to earn your stripes. And that, look, for me, it was, I started off washing cars at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, learning the management structure. I know there's a joke on Step Brothers, the movie, about, I'm going to go to Enterprise Rent-A-Car because they've got an excellent management structure.
Well, they do. They're known for that.
They do. They've got a great management structure. It's funny saying it out loud, but it's true.
Yeah.
I went to ADP after that. I sold payroll, really door-to-door, small business sales, kind of learning the ins and outs of selling and developing rapport, and kind of growing that fearless backbone of like, hey, I'm going to walk into this place and there's like a 70% chance they're just going to kick me out before I say anything. And then from there, achieved some success, went to pharmaceutical sales, which was a really just, I don't think it's I think it's just different. I didn't get to wear scrubs. I had to wear a suit.
Okay.
I had a suit by Sean John.
Oh, wow.
3-piece brown.
Oh, so you went with you had the vest and the whole
There was
thing.
some swagger and everything.
Did you have one suit, or did you invest in more than one?
I had a black suit and a brown suit and a gray suit.
That's good. That's a good mix.
Yeah, and I was very monochromatic. I just kind of wore the same colors all day, every day. And then I did really well there for about 3 years, and then transitioned over to surgical sales, and have been in there for the last 13 years.
Very good. I've seen you just observing you. You've made some pretty big career moves, leaving one company to the next.
Yep.
Obviously, I know you as a family man, a guy next door that really values that part of your life. Being home, being around your family first and foremost. In some of those decisions at a stage in your career where it's like, I know you joined some companies that were early stage, that were kind of innovative companies.
Yep.
So walk me through kind of what goes through your mind, because I think a lot of people are conflicted with this. They want to make an advancement in their career path, but they have so much holding them from doing so. I mean, maybe just, potential liability or, comfort and otherwise. So I've seen you make some pretty big moves, which I would hope to think were well thought out and
I think so.
tactical, but tell me about them.
It's not completely reckless abandon all the time.
Yeah.
So I think one of the experiences I had earlier on in the medical device space, this is a large company that, I sat down and had my annual review with my manager, and he said, look, I think that you definitely have, management potential. You've got excellent selling skills. And I think, within 8 to 10 years, you could be a manager in this company. And for me, that was not going to work. 8 to 10 years is a long time to wait.
Yeah.
That's, you're talking about a decade of spending time where, if that's your end goal to get to that management position or the next level, 8 to 10 years is way too long. Mm-hmm. And that, from the minute he said that, I knew that was the end for me at that company, because I just didn't have that tenacity to just say, I'm gonna stay with the company. I'm gonna ascend into management based on tenure. Mm-hmm. I didn't like that, and I think that's kind of what we're talking about with like the risk taking.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea is that there's two types of managers. There's the managers or the leaders that have been with that company for 20, 30 years, and they've stayed there, and that's how they've earned their stripes. And there's the other risky category where you say, hey, I'm going to go to a smaller company, or I'm going to take a risk on a new position or a pilot position and prove my worth, prove that I can think outside of the box, that I can do things differently and be more effective than what they've got in place. Mm-hmm. And that's where I've found success in my career, is moving to companies where, maybe they have 10% of the market, mm-hmm. and they don't have, major market share, and going in and making a huge impact on those sales. And that gets the attention of people, the current leaders, going, okay, this guy's doing something different, mm-hmm. and we need to take a closer look at this.
How much time do you invest in evaluating those companies before you make that move? Did you do a lot of premeditated thought and discovery in those companies?
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at it, there's two ways of going about that. You can go to the true startup, which it carries a lot more risk than what, and some people love that. Some people are serial startup people, and that's just the environment that they thrive really well in. But there's a percentage, and I think it's only like 30% of startups even make it. Mm-hmm. And so for somebody that has a family, that to me, that's too much risk to assume that kind of liability for my family. What I always look for is the larger corporation that has almost like an umbrella. So they're a large corporation that has a startup division, pilot role, something like that. So you have the financial backing and security of the large corporation, with a new role, new business model, new sales force. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the way to move up quickly into leadership role with those companies. So
probably a pretty good investment in your management training. I've seen you mm-hmm. start to elevate into really a national management role. You're overseeing a number of sales reps. Tell me a little bit about that. What do you feel makes a good manager? What are some of those lessons you've learned from working for some of these larger companies? And again, the investment made in you and your management style. Kind of highlight that a little bit for me.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that's really important, and I always look at other great leaders, right? So I think one of the people I really admire is like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Right? Like, people gravitate towards Tom Brady not just because he's a great quarterback. They gravitate towards Tom Brady because he's built a culture of winning. Mm-hmm. And people around him, you talk about running backs and linemen and all those people, they'll take pay cuts to work with Tom Brady. Yeah. Because they know that their odds of winning are much better. And so I think companies or teams or whatever you want to call it, will take resources once they've identified a leader, mm-hmm. and they'll put resources into that person and say, this is how we're going to build a winning team, because this person knows how to build a winning culture. Mm-hmm. And that's so important to organizations, and people at the very top of the food chain can identify those people and say, well, this is somebody that we're going to build a sales force around.
Someone that's kind of a get it done at all costs. with integrity, obviously.
Sure.
But someone that's going to be there, that's going to stand up, and is going to be dependable that I can follow. Which I have to bring it up.
Do it.
The story that, to me, I think is like talking to our team and saying, hey, we got to select some people for this show. And this one story, to me, really does exemplify dedication, commitment, and another level. Tell me the diaper story, Brad. Tell me about the diaper.
This
story.
is a fresh one.
This is very
This is fresh.
This is very fresh. So you're in a leadership role in a company. I mean, this could have been passed on to someone else. You could have passed it on to someone below you. But tell me what happened.
So nearly 2 weeks ago, we get to Thursday. I've got a really important case on Monday. This guy's it's a really solid opportunity. We have a chance to cement our business with a large institution down in Houston. My daughter comes home sick from school. I'm like, it's okay. Kids get sick, not a big deal. And it's the kind of sick where it's coming out of both ends, right? She's throwing up, she's got diarrhea. I'm like, okay, well, this sucks, but whatever. She's a kid. She's got an enterovirus or something like that. So I'm not too panicked. Then my other son comes home from school on Friday. I'm like, okay, it's slightly contagious.
He's sick as well.
He's sick as well, same thing.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. I was like, well, let's just kind of keep them away from us, and we'll just kind of give them, soup and, the broth diet, and we'll just keep it going that way. And then we get to Saturday, and it hits my wife, right? Now I'm in the same room, and I hear it happening in the bathroom, and I'm like, oh, mother of God, what's going to happen here?
Yep.
And so now, keep in mind, I have a flight on Sunday. Case is Monday morning. I wake up Sunday morning, and I'm kind of green. I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, it's here. And it finally came for me. And I did everything everything I could do to keep it from happening to me. And Sunday morning I woke up, and I'm like, okay, here we go. So it starts, it starts doing its thing. It starts coming out of both ends.
Yeah.
And I'm in a complete panic because I'm like, okay, how am I going to get on a flight? I can't stay out of the bathroom for like more than 5 minutes. How do I get on a flight for, an hour? But you've got, an hour and a half before at the airport. You've got to land. I was like, this is not going to happen. So we called one of our good friends who's an anesthesiologist, and I was like, look, here's the situation. What do you got? And she gave me just a bag of drugs. I mean, Zofran, Phenregan, everything you could think of, everything to like, hey, medically, this is how we're going to stop this from happening. And I was like, okay, I don't know if the airport's still a bad idea. So I call our travel agency, I cancel my flight, and I said, look, my only option is I got to drive. It's just Houston. I mean, it's 3.5, 4 hours, but 3.5, 4 hours in that condition is scary. So I started thinking outside the box, and I was like, okay, it's going to happen, and I might be on 35 or 45. I'm not going to be able to pull over. And so I went to CVS. I bought a bag, or what, Depends. I bought a box of Depends.
Adult diapers.
Because I realized that was a possibility.
Yeah.
That could happen. And had a trash bucket up front in the passenger seat with me.
Yeah.
And both items were utilized on that trip, on that drive. I pulled in to park at the hotel in Houston. I was like, I got to clean up or something like that. And there was no parking. So the only thing you could do at the hotel was valet your car. And it just, the poor guy, the poor valet just got to me and opened the door. And I was like,
I mean, but my gosh, what a story of dedication, innovation, innovative thinker right there.
Got to think.
Go with the diaper, get yourself to Houston. You're able to get in there, get your supplies into the case, and man, it was amazing.
After the fact, I was like, that was the most disgusting, but committed thing I've ever gone through with my entire life.
Yeah. Well, that kind of sets the bar for the guys beneath you as well. So I think this story needs to make its way down.
I haven't told it to many people, so I'm very, very excited to be sharing it on your first podcast.
Yeah. Hey, hopefully we get a bunch of views on this. So
that guy had an accident.
Yeah, this is the guy that will
multiple times.
He'll at all costs he will get the job done. So super impressed by that, by the way.
We're having a great time here with our guest, Brad Leahy, and we'll be back after this quick message from our sponsor.
MyLabsDirect.com, anytime, anywhere. MyLabsDirect.com, anytime, anywhere.
Hey guys, welcome back. We're here with our special guest, Brad Leahy. Just gave us an excellent story about dedication and leadership. And so, Brad, want to kind of keep on that theme of leadership.
Sure.
First and foremost, that being the theme of our show, can you give us kind of some examples maybe of how you define leadership? And let's start there.
Yeah. So I think leadership comes in a lot of different forms, right? I think a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that in order to be a leader, you have to have a VP behind your title, or that you have to be CEO. And I don't think that's really the way. I think that leadership can be defined by, creating a culture, wanting to create other leaders. I think that's the first goal of a leader, is to find somebody that you're going to pass the mantle to. So mentorship and coaching, and I think thinking outside of the box and taking risks and making those decisions. Mm-hmm. I mean, the greatest leaders that you can possibly think of in our culture. I mean, if you look at people like, Elon Musk, started PayPal, made his billions of dollars, and then essentially put all of that money, slept on friends' couches to start Tesla. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's taking a calculated risk, knowing what the reward could be, and I think leadership is kind of hinges on taking risks, making decisions, and then other people. It has to do with really a comfort zone, mm-hmm. right? I think being a leader is uncomfortable or unnatural for a lot of people, because there's a lot of risk and you're associating other people with those risks. So I think that's kind of what the definition of leadership is to me. And I don't think you have to be, a VP to do that. It's look at an opportunity, see a risk, make a calculation on it, and then follow through and execute on that.
Well, I think one thing you said there too is just passing the mantle, and I think being willing to build people up around you.
Yep.
Number one, be willing to do what you ask others to do.
Yep, absolutely.
As you've demonstrated, of course.
I hope that my reps would do that.
Yeah, pick up the mop, right? But just that, being confident enough in what you're doing and what you do daily in your disciplines to know that you can build people up around you and hopefully find someone that you can pass the mantle to, I think is what we identify typically in someone that's really accelerating in their career path or just in leadership in general, whatever.
Even as a parent, right? Like the most important job as a leader that you'll ever have is being a parent.
Yeah.
So setting that good example and knowing that, that team that you're developing until they're 18 or until they fly to the nest is the most important job you're ever going to have.
Yeah.
And when I say pass the mantle, you don't want your kids to be in jail or be degenerate someday. So you have to, and there's no days off.
Yeah.
You can't ever just say, well, I don't feel like it today, so I don't have to be a leader today. That's one of the saying that, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Mm-hmm. It's true. You don't really get days off. You can't take days off because you've got people around you depending on your example.
That's a great point. And I've seen you do this firsthand as a friend and again as a neighbor, how you've instilled confidence in your kids. Kind of segueing into, I think, a little bit more about the leadership side, but maybe some tips if you have them for our viewers. Again, I think your career path being a sales leader, someone that's not only managed a number of people, but you've had to kind of develop your own method of sales and your own method of leadership. In the process, I guess, are there any tips that you would give to a viewer, I guess, that's going through this process as a true salesperson?
Yeah. I think it's funny. An old manager told me this a long time ago, and he said, there's two people in the world that you should ever worry about impressing. And naturally, who would you think those people are? Two people that you need to impress.
For me, it would be my wife,
right?
My family, and my parents.
Sure.
Yep.
And that would be the response for everybody.
Yep.
And so he caught me off guard and always stuck with me. He said, you need to impress 8-year-old you, and you need to impress 80-year-old you. And I thought that was really poignant. He said, you want the 8-year-old you to be happy with what you fulfilled in life. Like, hey, you said you were going to do this, and you did way more than you ever thought you could. And 80-year-old you needs to be able to look back on your career and say, I'm proud of everything that I did, because I did it with integrity, I succeeded, I did all these things. And so the two people that he said you should worry about impressing are 8-year-old you and 80-year-old you. And it was a really poignant thought. So I think that's kind of my approach to just career pathing and my approach to life is like, are you doing everything in every day? Because we have a limited amount of time on Earth, right? So I think making the most out of every day, attacking it with a vigor and tenacity that is unmatched. And it's true, you can sleep when you're dead.
Yep.
Right. So hustle every day and worry about impressing that 8-year-old you and that 80-year-old you.
That's awesome. Okay, so Brad, in every show in the Leaders Playbook, we kind of want to know what is the leader's formula? What's the routine? What are the things that you do on a day-to-day? Kind of give us like a daily routine. When do you wake up? What do you eat? Kind of help us out there. Tell us what's going on.
So it's interesting. So I don't buy into the mantra that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I think some people need it, some people don't. I just am one of those people that doesn't need breakfast. I grew up in a military household, so I have subscribed to the whole make your bed first thing in the morning. So the first thing I do every day, even before I brush my teeth, is I make my bed. That's the first thing I do, and then I start dealing with the kids in the morning. Sometimes that's a team effort, sometimes it's not. My wife isn't exactly a morning person, and I've got 2 kids that are not exactly morning people, so I feel like I'm going to war first thing in the morning. But they do all get to school, they're all prepped, they're all ready to go. And so I feel like those achievements before 8 o'clock in the morning. So I've already achieved a few things first thing in the morning. So no matter what happens in my day professionally, it could be horrible, and at least I made my bed. I got my kids to school. They're not degenerates.
Check the box. What time do you get up? What time?
So I usually get up at about 5:30 every morning.
5:30.
5:30 every morning, and then those knock those few things out. At some point, I might stop and eat something for lunch, if time permits, and then I make sure we eat a good dinner every night. And then,
do you cook dinner? Is it you that cooks?
I cook dinner sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your specialty? What is your number one?
My specialty. So I'm really good at just meats.
Okay.
Like I stick to like meat. Like I'm gonna make steak.
Okay.
I'm gonna do roasts. And then I make really good takeout. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
DoorDash. Now
yeah, I can DoorDash. I can DoorDash some stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So any like habits? Anything that's kind of unique or different?
No, I think it's I think squeezing in a workout on a daily basis is really important, just to kind of keep your blood flowing, and just to again, it's one more thing that you're achieving throughout the day.
Yeah.
Like professionally can fall apart, but if you're knocking out a few micro achievements every day, I think that's really important. And then trying to I usually sleep about 6 hours a night, sometimes 7, and then on Friday and Saturday nights usually 8 hours a night.
When are you working in like the email and things like that? Is that just throughout the day, or do you do that in the morning? I know a lot of guys like to get up, get that knocked out.
Yeah, so I try. I'm one of those people that I don't let emails build up. I'm pretty responsive. I think that's important for your customers and showing engagement. Like as soon as I get an email from a customer, I'm usually if time permits, 1 minute, 2 minute response time. So I think that's pretty important.
Are you a big social media guy? Do you spend any of your time doing that, or do you watch TV at night? What are some of those things?
So
guilty pleasures.
I think it's important to have some wind down time in the day. So I mean, my wife and I will sit and watch like a show on Netflix or something like that for 30, 40 minutes before bedtime. I got off a majority of social media. I do use LinkedIn for professional purposes, but Facebook just kind of went down some weird rabbit holes and the censorship thing and all that stuff. So I jumped off of that. It was driving me nuts.
What's your number one show?
My number one show, man, we just started watching a show on Hulu. What is it about? With Michael Keaton about the drug the OxyContin epidemic.
Okay.
It was really horrible to watch. I mean, when you see how disgusting some of these pharma companies are, is what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The disadvantage you have is that I know you personally, and you didn't tell us about your favorite drink. And I know this is like your bunny milk drink, your Nestle Quick drink.
I do, and I've gotten your kids kind of hooked on that too. So speaking of corrupt pharma companies,
So as I understand it, your go-to drink with every meal or dinner is
strawberry milk.
Strawberry milk
by Nestle Quick.
There we go.
And your kids have come rummaging through our closets before, and now Renner calls it the bunny milk.
Yeah, my little boy goes over there and gets bunny milk from Mr. Brad.
And we share. I dole it out to your kids.
Well, that's awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Brad, thank you so much for coming on today, man. I've actually learned a lot about you, and I'm more intimidated by you now as my neighbor and friend. But truly, thank you so much. I mean, you shared some really good, again, as you say, poignant topics here. I love the diaper story in its display of dedication and really leadership, truly. It's a funny story, but it does say a lot about your character and integrity, and pretty amazing. Really love this topic of looking at yourself from 8 to 80. I mean, I've never thought of it that way. As who are you here to impress? I think that's a That was amazing. So thank you so much for sharing that with our viewers. And thank you everybody for joining us on the Leaders Playbook. We ask that you like us, follow us at the Leaders Playbook. And this is one of many shows, so we're excited to share tips and stories from excellent leaders from all facets of industry. And we just ask that you like us and join us on the next edition of Leaders Playbook. Thank you guys.